This is a brand new Specialized Creo 2 e-bike for road and gravel with a new lighter weight carbon frame and a brand new motor that's more powerful and quieter and has a narrower Q factor than the old version launched back in 2019. And as we saw with the new Roubaix SL8 a few weeks ago, we had the brand new version 3 Future Shock with more durability and more adjustability and loads of other changes as well. So in this video, we'll go through all the details on the bike and we'll also go for a first ride and see how it performs and handles as well. But first, let's hear from a Specialized engineer about the updated motor.
So we have the all-new SL 1.2 motor here, and this is increased in power by 33%. So we have 320 watts now. We also increased the peak torque, which goes up to 50 Newton meters. We also have a noise reduction by 40%. And we reduced the Q factor by 12 millimeters with the help of some dub cranks on here. Aside from the all-new motor, we have an all-new frame, which drops around 120 grams from the frame along from the previous generation, which now weighs 1,280 grams. And all of the bikes come equipped with FutureShock 3.0. FutureShock is extremely important to a bike like this because of the inherent design of the bigger down tube to house the battery. E-bikes normally get a lot stiffer ride quality. The FutureShock helps reduce that harshness that you feel from the road. We also have increased tire clearance. We can fit up to a 29 by 2.2 tire on here. All the bikes come spec with a Tracer 47C tire. And this is going to help reducing that vibrations from the road as well. It's also going to aid in some extra grip and ride quality. Regardless of how big of a tire you fit on this bike, the motor is still going to help you take to that assistance level that is required by your country where you live. We also have the capability of multiple mounts on here. We can fit a mudguard with a 47C tire. We also have fitment for a rear rack, a front rack, and then anything cages on the fork. All of the bikes will come equipped with a dropper post just to give that rider extra confidence on the downhill, whether it's on pavement or it's on gravel.
What sort of rider is this bike aimed at? Who do you see as a typical customer for a bike like this?
To be honest, like any rider that wants to go unlock new routes, like you're gonna experience it today, later on, where we just started looking at maps and started looking at the steepest climbs, like, hey, this will be fun, and like, what's on the other side of that hill? So it's really for anybody who wants to go explore and have fun.
Right, let's see what the bike is all about. We've been led on an amazing route here in Portugal. About an hour drive from Lisbon, the capital, in the woods, some lovely roads as well. The sun is shining, and a real good demonstration, a showcase for how good this bike is and how good e-bikes generally are.
This might be the best drop bar e-bike I've yet ridden, and the best one on the market right now. A bold statement to make, I know, by giving it the big tyres, a new Future Shock, and the improvements to the motor. It's just a super capable package that makes riding a bike on and off-road so much fun and lets you push your boundaries and explore further than you might on a regular bike. I rode the original Creo SL 4 years ago, blimey, time flies by, and it impressed then. I rode out Box Hill for a video. This makeover with the big fat tyres makes a lot of sense. So today we're riding mainly off-road in the woods, and my goodness, the trails are amazing. Lung busting climbs, fast swoopy descents, and sweet single track, and it's here this bike makes a lot of sense. The motor is whisper quiet, and I love how much control you have over it with buttons on the handlebar and a clear display and control unit on the top tube. And there's more than enough grunt from the motor to dispatch the biggest, steepest climbs we come across on this ride.
Right, here we go. The beast of the climb ahead of us. A real demonstration of what the bike is all about. I'm in turbo mode in my biggest, easiest gear because it gets up to 28% at the steepest. But it's concrete, so traction should be good. But look at it ahead of us, look how steep it is. It's really cool how the display on the top tube shows me my rider power and the gradient, which is now well above 20%. You wouldn't dare do a climb like this on a road bike. Well, I probably would, but I know it would hurt so much. I'm not saying this is easy, but it's definitely a lot easier than a non-assisted bike. I know how much my legs would be hurting right now on a normal bike. Up to 29%. At 220 watts. I rise out of saddle well. Bit creaking from the drivetrain. 300 watts, 27%. And it's baking hot right now as well. Absolutely scorching. Oh, it's a piece of cake.
And on flowing trails, the assistant feels natural. It's not intrusive at all. It just feels like a normal bike. The trails are fairly rough in places, and so I'm glad of the Future Shock really helping to remove the vibrations and impacts that come through the handlebar. An e-bike is heavier and stiffer, and the bumps definitely come a lot harder than a regular bike. The drop of seat post might make sense if you are happy to push your limits and the limits of the bike on really technical trails, but personally speaking, I'd rather have the bendy carbon seat post from the Roubaix for more comfort in the saddle. It's a bit firm as it is. One day on the new bike isn't enough for a conclusive verdict. There are still obvious question marks around the actual range, real-world durability, and I really want to dive into the motor and customization through the app a lot more. Now, the big drawback with e-bikes, especially in the UK and Europe, is the low pedal assist speed limit of 15.5 miles per hour. But riding off-road definitely mitigates that to a degree. But I am jealous of US customers who get a 28 mile per hour cutoff. That is a real game changer.
So what we have here is the SL 1.2 motor. There's actually not a single component on the motor that is used from the old motor. So we're looking at a brand new motor. What is the big difference? We increased power by over 33%. We increased torque by over 40%. It's significantly quieter. It's a narrow Q factor. No weight gain at all. So overall, it's nothing but positive changes. To be more specific, yes. What are then the engineering challenges? We're aiming for efficiency. We're aiming for low weight. We're aiming for, of course, reduced noise. Nobody wants to hear the noise of the motor. But small little details like the Q factor and just going a bit broader, some other details that are not trivial is just the way you can actually build a frame around it. Like how difficult is it for a composite engineer to then build a frame that actually mounts the motor in a rigid way, but also aesthetically nice, etc. So it's when it comes to motor development, it's a balance between very many disciplines that you actually have to like juggle and control. It's not one specific one.
And how do you achieve that sort of seamless, natural feel for cyclists so they don't really feel like sort of it's jerky or it's too powerful? How do you get that sort of natural, organic feel with a motor?
I would almost say it's the fun part of the business because there's a lot of riding involved. Like if you think of dynos and test machines, yes, that's a lot to validate things, but we're extremely picky. We have a certain wish and demand, and we know what we want. And we're just like we're riding a lot. We're riding a lot with data acquisition and loggers equipped on the bike. And when we really like things, we mark them. When we do not like things, we mark them. And the advantage of us as Specialized is we actually have in-house software people, so we can actually go back in the office, directly talk to them and say, okay, can you change this? Can you change this? This didn't feel okay. So that iteration loop of finding something and actually changing it and implementing it and trying again in our setup is really quick because we have access to all the people and actually developing source code as well.
And I was speaking to somebody earlier, you actually started the whole turbo project many years ago.
That is actually
more about how that all came about.
That is actually true. So we're going back to 2009, 10-ish. Back then I was still living in Morgan Hill, California, working on the engineering team, and the owner, Mike Sinyard, didn't like the idea of e-bikes at all. He called it pedestrian. But there were a few people, and I was just one of them, just who believe in the future of e-bikes. And without telling Mike, we just explored this category. We just went ahead and just built prototypes just to explore it. And for real, Mike did not know. And when he found out, I walked to Mike and said, "Shut up and ride it." So back then it was, I wish we still had the bike. It was a trekking bike equipped with a rear hub motor. And there was at Specialized, the lunch ride is pretty famous. We have Monday through Thursday is the lunch ride. Friday is the World Championship. So there was that one championship, and me showing up on a trekking bike with an electric motor. People were laughing at me. I was wearing flip-flops. And Robert Egger, a creative director, looks at me and says, "If I were you, I'd go now." And I was known as the slow guy. They usually dropped me within a minute. And I took off, and they couldn't catch me. That was just a statement that is a performance product that is actually fun to ride. And that has just sparked some ideas and just that caught attention. Mike got on the bike. He was like, "Whoa, this is actually fun." So Mike made it clear, like, okay, I'm okay doing e-bikes if it's a performance e-bikes. And that's like, we're staying true to that. We're just not, we call them electric wheelchairs. We're not doing electric wheelchairs. If we're doing something, it needs to be performance. It needs to deliver true performance benefit for the rider. To end this story, we then relocated to Switzerland and actually built an entire office around the e-bike development there. And it seems like we're doing quite okay on that journey.
Great story. And that challenging preconceptions around e-bikes and people say cheating and there's all this other sort of stuff. People are negative towards them. Do you see that just changing over time as more people try them?
I mean, in the beginning, absolutely. People were laughing at us. Even me with my mountain bike background, even co-workers looked at like, you're getting old, you need a motor, etc. But it's over by the time people just get on the bikes and ride it. There's so many stories where people are getting fitter with e-bikes. They're riding more with e-bikes. We're exploring more trails, more roads, etc. And there's days where typically you've done a big ride the day before where you wouldn't ride the bike. Now you're just grabbing your e-bike and just play around for 1 or 2 hours, and it's the best recovery ride you can have. Or on the other side, we have people doing interval training. The best tool for interval training with better graphics than Zwift, because it's nothing can beat that, is actually the e-bike. You can tune the intervals and you can tune the effort level as you want, and still being outside.
So that has been my first ride on a brand new Specialized Creo 2. I know e-bikes aren't for everybody, but I'm definitely fully on board with what they offer, and this is a fantastic, really appealing package. Can't wait to get one in for a long-term test and really put through its paces on some more familiar trails back home in the UK. But for now, let me know what you think of the bike. Is this bike in your future? I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel by hitting that button down there. And if you see another video on how an e-bike transformed my life, then watch the video up here. But that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.